Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, doctor.
Okay. I'm going to discuss first your assignment because last week somebody requested, no, because it will be very difficult to do reading and so on and so forth. So I decided to shift your first assignment to second assignment. Those who are confused, okay? The person you are supposed to read. This is actually my purpose. Why is it that I give you that assignment? No, at least before graduation, you're supposed to read one article and have a say about that. No, that one is going to be submitted on May. All right, that will be your second semester assignment instead of submitting it on December 10. Now, the first assignment that I asked you to do is a reflection on your teachers, no? Any teacher. Most probably, you passed through several teachers, maybe in elementary or in high school or maybe in college, no? Or maybe in life. You try to, as instructed there, you try to make a simple essay, informal as it may, you know, informal essay. That's the reason why you may not need references there. It comes from your heart. You have to write something about that particular teacher. I particularly ask you to specify their qualities. Why is it that they became your, let's say, most influential teacher? Most probably, some of us here could have remembered all our teachers, the teachers who influence us through life, isn't it? So I would like you to write something about that. If there will be two teachers, no problem. I ask you only one teacher that may have influenced you all throughout your life. I'm so sure you could remember their names. I'm so sure you could remember their faces. I'm so sure you know them by heart by now. Most probably, they became even your best friends or your teacher or let's say best friends in life. No, you know them until now. So that's basically the point. Okay. Is there any question about your assignment? I lay down to you how you are going to be graded. It's only very simple, no? You're going. Of course, I really would like you to come out with your own. You see, honestly, if you're going to Google about my best teachers, there are so many aces there. I'm warning you because I know them already. I read them already. Last year, when I tested the assignment of other students, I found out that they Google they copied exactly from Google because there are so many aces in Google pertaining to my favorite teachers. No, I know them already, and I do not want to distrust you, but I will run similarity index, plagiarism index, so it can be identified. If you want to to have a good mark on your assignment, make it sure that it comes from you. Yeah, do you understand?
Doctor, you need introduction, conclusion, reference, something like that.
No, no, no.
Or
References, since this is informal essay, you may or you may not use references. Okay. Of course, in essay writing, I do not know if you have been taught about that in your high school. You know already how to write an essay, right? When you write an essay, there should be an introduction, isn't it? And there should be discussion,
yeah,
and then there should be conclusion, right? That's the right way to write, isn't it?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so basically it's just like that. I would like you to keep it as simple as possible. All right. This must be submitted according to how I give you PDF format or in Word format because I cannot run a handwritten format if you are going to submit that to me, no? So I cannot run a similarity index. So I have to run similarity index to make it sure that it's actually coming from you. Yeah, I will return the assignments whose similarity index is actually above 30. Okay, do you
So,
understand?
doctor, maybe it will not take more than three papers, 3 pages, or no? If we will
Eh,
talk informal, maybe less only than three.
the best way you try to identify their characteristics, isn't it? There are so many characteristics. Why is it that they became good teachers like that? So if you're going to look into their characteristics, you can describe them, and you can also
Okay, like that, yeah. Okay, okay.
yeah, isn't it? So then you could always discuss how they could have influenced you. Yeah. Remember, our subject is nursing education. It has something to do with teaching. So that's the reason why I started with that. Because you see, last time, in connection to our class, now we discussed about modeling, isn't it? That modeling is actually a genuine way to learn. Yeah. So we are going to learn. You're going to learn. So by all means, by modeling, you can actually identify yourselves with your teachers. Until now, you are still trying to display the same quality with the teachers that you have identified before. You see, that is in the social context. That's in connection with the topic that we are discussing. That is in social constructivism. No, now social constructivism is very useful because it has going to give way in group works, group learning, collaboration, cooperative learning. Now, I mentioned last time that if you're going to learn by group, that will be very good if you're going to be actively involved. But you see, in a group dynamics, there are students who are actually passive learners or passive as they may, and there are students who are very active. Now, there is a tendency of the passive students not to learn because they are not interested to learn. And those who are actually active learners or active in participating may have all the benefits of group work. They are going to exercise their judgment, their leadership, all the way. They will develop their focus and so on and so forth. That will be a very good thing that will benefit all the students who are very active. So remember that in the group there are really students who are ride along or who are riding on. That means to say whatever they may, the group may, as long as they're a member of the group, they get the grades as the benefit. But that is not the way we are supposed to learn. Look at what's happening in TBL. Now in TBL or in PBL, if you have the experience that before, really there are students who are merely contributing, but just the same, they receive the mark. Now the benefit will not be the mark in this case. The benefit will be how much you're going to learn from the group discussion that you are participating in. This is exactly what I'm trying to emphasize here, no? In group and cooperative learning. Now, in social constructivism as applied in the classroom, we are supposed to, this is a sort of review, no? We're going to do experiential learning. How are we going to do that? First, we have to participate in all the activities which are designed by your teachers. Now, other than that, you are going to do what we call as the journaling. This is in connection with experiences that you have every day. When I was handling psychiatric nursing in this university 3 years ago, 4 years ago, right? The most pressing requirement that I would actually have would be to ask the students to keep their journal every day so that they would actually be at peace and in line with the kind of emotional experiences that they would actually have, especially in interacting with the psychiatric patients. No? So in that way, you can actually pour out your anxieties. Then eventually, when you're going to reread your journal, you will be learning from that. You see, you will be surprised. You could not be aware about the experiences that you have at that moment, but when you come back to what you wrote before, certainly you will be learning something. You will discover something. That is the importance of journaling in social constructivism. This is an individual experience in collaborative work. That's the meaning of journaling. Another one, of course, in social constructivism, there is a personal focus in a way as a part of the group, no? Because you have to maximize your learning potentials in a group. When you're going to teach, you're always going to think about how much you're going to learn as a member. All right? That's how it is in social constructivism. And of course, as I mentioned last time, collaborative and cooperative learning, co-labor, work together, especially with their activities. Cooperative means to say Every member of the group is actually very important and very essential. We believe that they can actually contribute in the learning process of the whole group. That is certainly the meaning of this. Okay, that's what we ended last week, last meeting. No, so moving forward, collaborative learning is not that all perfect. There are always criticisms because not all methods of learning could actually be applicable to all. There are always downside, no, of everything. So in social constructivism, one of the criticism is that it suggests that knowledge is neither given nor absolute. So that means to say the source of knowledge is actually coming from the students, and you know for a fact that if the students actually will contribute in the discussion, it looks like they are not authority to discuss. No, the things that they are sharing in the classroom would actually be coming out from the reading. But if you come to think of it, if you're going to relate this in the philosophy of realism and in your dialectic learning, you see, so you will discover knowledge when you are going to share the knowledge with one another. You see, so knowledge is not given, but knowledge is created. This is actually the context of social constructivism. No, we try to establish knowledge. We try to come out and create knowledge. That's the reason why we share with the group. More heads will be better. But of course, grouping is actually an essential part in social constructivism. No, in a grouping, there must always be a maximum of 7 to make the maximum potential and the maximum contribution of each student so they can learn. You cannot actually go more than that because students may not actually be focused on, especially when the classes would only be limited, particularly the number of minutes or the number of hours to be allocated with a group. So others may not actually be focused on. That will be a big problem in social constructivism. Now, it is also often seen as less rigorous than traditional approaches to instruction. Traditional means lecture and discussion. It's rigorous because, not rigorous, I mean, because students are not required to digest most, no? As long as they can contribute something in the class, that will be it, no? But in the classroom, in the real setup of lecture discussion, students are required to prepare all the time. But of course, that's not happening. In real lecture class, students must always be ready, must always read before they come to class. That's how you are supposed to learn, no? Students must always require themselves to read before they come to the class because they do not want to be left behind. That's how we look at it, no? And also, it does not fit well with traditional aids, particularly school aids, like our high school students, you see, who or those who are actually beginning to be nurses, those who just enrolled in nursing, you see, they may not appreciate that because they don't have any knowledge about that, about nursing. Not like you. You are nurses already, so group work will work for you. But for novice learners, it may not actually be good, no? All right? Because they're going to spend so much time, they do not know what to do. That will be a big problem in social constructivism. Well, group work must always be limited because of the constraint of the participants, or in this case, the learners or the students. Yes, any questions so far with social constructivism? Now, we use this once in a while in our group activity, you see? We use this once in a while so that we can actually encourage leadership, we can encourage cooperation, we can encourage collaboration in the class, all right? So moving forward, um, this is another way of addressing the needs of the class, no? Learning theory. We have also psychological concept called multiple intelligence. As I mentioned to you earlier, in the classroom, students are varied in ways of how they are learning. One student will learn different way. In short, we're learning differently from one another. There is no such thing as a perfect way to learn. it depends on who we are and what we are. It depends on the characteristics that we may actually have. So we have the multiple intelligences and say, now as it sounds like, we're going to address the different types and the different facets of intelligence that we know of. Now, in multiple intelligence, we are looking into different way students would actually learn something. This was designed by Howard Gardner in 1983. You know, this is actually very current, no? And in fact, there are so many schools who are experimenting on this in the attempt to address every single individual in the class, the needs of every single individual in the class. We're always telling, like soldiers, no, we're always telling that kids must not be left behind. No one must not be left behind. No student must not be left behind. In short, we are going to address every need of every student in the class. Basically, if you're going to examine the component of the class, there are several types of students that we can encounter. You see, if you're going to start lecturing, there are students, before you open your mouth, there are already those who are not focused, maybe sleeping. We all know for a fact that they may not be sleeping. There are students who may not actually look at you straight. You see? When you're going to address that in the classroom, some teachers would actually address that as if that's a student problem. That's the problem student. So always if the student is not listening to you, that student is not good. You know, sometimes we're wrong, you see? Because some students may not look at you. And you demand attention. We demand attention. We always say, all right, class, please listen. Those students who are not looking at you may be listening. And they can actually learn more if they're going to do that. They may not be looking at you, but their ears are widely open and they listen. There are students who are also not writing, but they learn. There are students who are fidgety, moving here and there, but they learn really from you. So these are exactly the things that we should need to learn. We are going to address every need of the student in the class. We are going to respect how students learn individually in the class. So we are going to look at this way, no? There are 8 intelligences. As of now, there are 9 already. It was recently when religiosity is actually added in the 8 intelligence that we know of, who was started by Howard Gardner in 1983. No, these 8 multiple intelligences will enable students to leverage their strengths. In short, they're very strong in that one. No, so they are actually going to take advantage on the strengths that they have. No, purposefully to target and develop their weaknesses. Students who are learners are not necessarily good at everything. There are students who are good in one area and there are students who are bad. Like for instance, you may be good in writing, manipulation of words, but you're worse in mathematics. You see? They are very good in drawings, but they are very weak in dancing. They are very good in dancing, but they may not be good in terms of writing. So these are some of the areas that we have to look into. So it's called leveraging. That means to say all students are good in certain area, in certain way. We will not be good in everything. Like for instance, me, I may be good in writing, but I'm not good in dancing. You see? Other people may actually sell anything to you, but there are so many people who cannot actually sell anything. You see? I'll give you one very basic example, no? Of a genius who applied one of the areas of intelligences, no? You know, Bill Gates, right? Everybody knows Bill Gates, isn't it? Because his product is being used by us right now until now. Right? You know how the history of how he sold his software. His software is the Microsoft, isn't it? Actually, when he was starting up, you see, he started one computer company during the time. He contacted also. He started a startup. No, he called that one as Microsoft. They are not selling anything yet because they do not have products. All they know that they are very good in programming. Now what he did was that he tried. Of course, when you're going to start up something, you need money. You need some startup funds or money, and they would have that. No, they had no money during the time. So what happened is that he contacted one of the computer companies on his time. That was in the 1980s, no? And he told that he has a product that could actually be useful to that computer company. No, computer. Sometimes computer hardwares need software to run, and of course, this computer company agreed. You see, and the computer company gave seed money for these people, for Bill Gates. In short, he actually contributed for the fundings of the company of Bill Gates. You see, he was able to convince people that they have a product that could be very useful, and he was able to finance his development. See, he was able to sell anything. He was able to contact or communicate with other people, no matter what. He was able to get what he wanted. You see, that's called interpersonal intelligence. You see, and there are people who could actually sell anything. Instead of selling, they just give away. That is actually the problem here. So multiple intelligence is really one type of learning theory that we should actually look into, because we always need to address every single need of every single individual in the classroom. We have the verbal linguistic. What is the meaning of this? No, uh, this type of intelligence is number one. We'll discuss about that now as we go on. They have facility of language. They can always speak up. They can always they can make oration extemporaneously. They write. I'll explain more about this. The other one is visual expression. Now, we'll discuss more about that as we go on. Logical, mathematical, kinesthetic, musical, naturalist, interpersonal, and intrapersonal. Okay, so we're going to discuss this one by one as we apply in the classroom. I believe last year we discussed this also in our psychology class. But we are going to relate our discussion in connection to learning. All right. So moving forward, we're going to apply multiple intelligence in the classroom. Then I'm going to give example and the importance of it. No, as we go on. You see, if you're going to use multiple intelligence in the classroom, the delivery of instruction by a multiple medium is actually possible. We can do so many things at the same time. In fact, there are experimental schools in the United States that offer multiple intelligences. No, there are no lectures, but in that case, the focus of activity, the focus of attention would be grouping of individuals according to their leverage, according to their strengths, according to where they're good at. So they are going to do discovery, they're going to learn based on what they are good at. No? I am going to mention here the different types of intelligence in this way, so that in relation to how and what we are going to teach in the class. As I mentioned to you earlier, verbal linguistic, this is what we call as word smart. You see, if you are a word smart, you can easily write 1,000 sentences, 1,000 words in 30 seconds, in 30 minutes. And you have to capitalize on that. Now, you try to look at yourselves as students right now. You see, if you are going to take examination, for instance, other people here hit essays because they are not good in writing. Other people love essay because they are good in writing. I have so many students like that. I have so many experience like that in the classroom. Number one, if you're going to ask them to write something and you move around, There are students who have not started writing their answers yet, but there are students who are already asking another sheet of paper. Remember the time when we were actually using still paper-based examination? There were students who were not able to start yet the quiz, but there were students who were raising their hands and asking for extra sheet because they could actually write kilometers of sentences in a given time. They have the facility of the language. They have the capacity to write. It doesn't mean to say that that student who did not start yet how to write or what to write in that quiz, or who did not start yet that quiz, is already left behind. Maybe he's not good at it, but he's good in analysis. You see? So if you're going to apply this in the classroom, most probably you group the students, then you ask them to write compositions. Right? Certainly, in your class, a class of 41, maybe there are selected few, maybe 5 students or 6 students who may be really extremely good in writing. We have to recognize that, no? And they love writing all the time because they express themselves in writing. Okay. Another very basic example of the kind of students that we have in the classroom as we are going to apply multiple intelligence is logical or number smart. You see? They're very good in numbers. They are very good in logical reasoning. 1 plus 1 equals 2. We learned that in mathematics logic, no? 1 plus 3 equals 4. Concrete reasoning. They have the ability to analyze situations. So if you're going to analyze them and look at them, they are very good in multiple choice. They are capable of eliminating answers. That is the meaning of logical and number smart. You see? You have to address that. So how are you going to apply this logical smart in the classroom? You ask them to solve problems. So in nursing, sir, what about in nursing? You ask them to solve and find the nursing problems. You give them some sort of scenario, and they can easily derive the problem. They're very good at it. That is the meaning, because the only thing that you're going to find in a problem is you're going to look into logical sequence, isn't it? And we have actually understood in rationalism, no? So you are going to look into logical sequence of things. If one is followed by one, then it must always be equal to 2. So you are going to be able to find the logical sequence of your reasoning. That is the meaning of logical multiple intelligence, logical intelligence. No? The next one, of course, as you're going to apply that in the classroom, is interpersonal. People are smart. They are capable of convincing people. They are always the leaders in the class. There are leaders who are always good, and there are leaders who are always convincing. You see, they convince people. Sometimes we always ask them to lead the class because they are always representing you in every other way, in every possible way. They're capable of negotiating with teachers. They're capable of talking with teachers. You see, some of you may not be capable of talking to teachers, but they are capable of talking to teachers. They are capable of talking to anyone. They're capable of convincing other people, including in the debate. They may actually win. As I told you, like Bill Gates, they can convince people even though without product. In fact, they can sell anything. They can convince you. There are people who cannot sell anything. If you're going to ask them to sell the ball pen that you may have, they can sell. Other students may not actually do that. In short, they have the capacity to communicate. They have the capacity to relate with other people. That is the meaning of interpersonal intelligence. You have to find that. There are usually the leader materials in the class. And you have to bank on that. You have to leverage on that. You ask them to enforce discipline, they will do that. No? Moving forward, intrapersonal. These are the students who are always quiet. They learn by themselves. And these are the people who love to be alone. You can easily spot them, when you are going to assign cooperative learning, like in the social constructivism, when you're going to assign the group, these are the people who come to you and they will actually say, sir, I would rather work alone. When you're going to assign group work, sir, I would like to prepare and submit my material. In short, they're capable of learning by themselves, utilizing their own strength. They are at ease with themselves. You can easily assist them. You can easily look at them. And these are the people who do not have actually friends at all in the class, and most probably. No, these people would like to be alone. Doesn't mean to say that they are stupid. It means that they may learn in different way. Yeah? So they are myself smart. They are very good in intrapersonal connection, intrapersonal intelligence. They're capable of communicating with themselves. They are at ease with themselves. They do not even care about what others will say. Moving forward, musical. You see, I believe there are people who are capable of manipulating instruments here. Now, when we say musical, it doesn't only mean that they are good in playing instrumentals or anything. They are capable of doing music. They are also loving music. You see, I believe some of you here may learn with a headphone on, with the music on. When you are actually revising for your quiz or any examination the following day, some of you may actually have a full volume of your musical instrument or of your music at home. Although there are people who love music, but they may not know how to play. This is what we call as musical smart also. That is actually the reason why we allow students to have earphone. Imagine a classroom with an earphone, you see, with music playing. How would that be? Some of the teachers may actually view that as that is already a breakdown of some sort of discipline in the classroom. But if you are a teacher and recognize that particular intelligence and leverage of the student, you may understand. You may understand your children. Why is it that they play music while studying? Maybe if you're going to impose your own standard, that's not good. Because your intelligence is actually focused somewhere else. But students may learn by playing music. They learn how to manipulate, and at the same time, they learn how to love music. That's actually what we call as musical smart or music smart, as we call it. They may possess musical intelligence. They have the capacity to appreciate music, and they can actually utilize music in order for them to stand and to understand things. Yeah? Then, of course, visual spatial. These are the people who loves your PowerPoint. These are the people who actually write so many things. You see, when they look at you, if you're going to do lecture in the classroom, they are always focusing their attention to you and to your PowerPoint, and they are always writing. That's the reason why your PowerPoint must always be attractive. That's the reason why teachers must also be attractive to address the need of these people, because they appreciate they are capable of doing so. Now, if you're going to apply also in the group work, these are the people who make the classroom viable and beautiful, because they are deliberate, they're going to deliver the needs. Like, for instance, they arrange the tables, they arrange the chairs. You know, if you're going to have advisory class, for instance, you can always ask them to decorate the classroom. They would lovely do it, because they have the capacity to look into that. They're called picture smart. They have the capacity to make visual and at the same time spatial connection with learning. They learn by looking at your images. They learn by looking at your PowerPoint. They learn by writing on their notes. They focus their attention. See? That's why teachers must always, as I mentioned earlier, must always dress up. Yeah? Another one, naturalistic intelligence. You see, there are students who can learn better if they study under the tree. That's the reason why in collaborative learning, you are going to ask the students to go out and discover something. Maybe for high school biology class, you ask them to actually identify the different types of plants in the garden. So you ask them to go out. Or if you are studying for the sake of studying, you like to stay under the tree. You like to commune with nature. You can actually discover that your preference by actually looking at yourself, looking at your own behavior. No, winter is actually coming, and students will declare that there will be no class, isn't it? Why there will be no class? Because they will see for the first time the river will be flowing on the wadi because there will be rain. In fact, this is happening every year. Students will not come to class because students would always go to the wadi. They would like to have a cup of tea. These are the people who do have naturalistic intelligence, they love nature. Every weekend, you find yourselves to be with nature, to be camping, to be in the beach. You could learn better by doing that, no? Unknowingly. But if you are a student, if you are a learner, you can do better by communing with nature. That's actually the meaning of this. You may not become a scientist, but you learn more if you commune with nature. Moving forward, kinesthetic or body smart. These are the people who have the capacity to manipulate their bodies. In what way? Dancing. I'm telling you, there are people who are very good in dancing. There are people who are worse in dancing. There are people who are dancing every day, but there are people who never dance with their lives, all throughout their life. You see? So when you are going to ask them to dance, they will dance. Now, how are you going to apply this in the classroom? See? You could always, and these are the people also who are actually moving around. You try to ask them to police the class. You try to ask them to liars for you. Like in the operating chatter, they will be acting like uh, what do you call that one? The all-arounders that will be moving around, no? So that's exactly the point. Okay, the circulating nurse, no? So the nurses who are actually in the operating theater, they are the operating room nurse, and then the circulating nurses are actually moving around, trying to get all the equipment ready, trying to get the material ready, just in case you forgot to prepare it. And these are the people who are moving around. They can actually be policing also in the classroom. You ask them that, no? They are the people who would actually love to move around and get things. That is how you're going to apply kinesthetic or body smart students in the classroom. You see, if you're going to view your classroom like that, to be made up of people with different type of intelligences, then you could actually utilize that advantage. At home also, if you have 8 children, they may not learn the same way. You may not compare them with one another because that's not good. As teachers, may not compare them with one another. Like for instance, your brother is good at things. Your brother is good in mathematics. Why are you not good in mathematics? You cannot do that, and you must not do that because you are actually making a comparison between your 2 children, and that will be counterproductive. You will not help any of the child, any of the children that you may actually have. Don't compare. You always will tell, okay, what do you want and how do you want, or how will I help you to learn? Do not just even compare how students or your children will learn in the class or at home. Sometimes, no, we see our children playing loud music while they are studying, and we go there and turn it up. How can you study when you are playing loud music? You are already being judgmental, and that's not good for a parent. That's not good for children. You see, you have to find out. As if when you're going to teach in the classroom, you have to find out your different types of students. At home also, you have to find out are the what are the kinds of children that you have, so that you may address their needs. Usually, parents fail in this case because they really would like that saying that says one size fits all. In the classroom also, one size fits all. We would like that way also. And that's not good for our convenience, for the convenience of the teacher, but not good for the students. And that's terribly not good, no, for all of us. Now, of course, multiple intelligence is actually not good all the time. But I encourage you, no, I encourage you as a student, I encourage you as teachers, you should know the different types of students that you may actually have. Now, because it will show your commitment. It will show that you love them. It will show that you care for them. So these are some of the criticisms that will actually pose against multiple intelligences as applied in the classroom. So number one, it's always biased. No? We lack quantifiable evidences, particularly about the existence of multiple intelligences, although it was studied, no? But if that's actually applied in the classroom, how are you going to test the students? So at the same time, you can actually test one size fit all. That will be the problem here. At the end of the day, they're going to do multiple choice or any type of test that you may actually give. There is a lack of evidence that use of multiple intelligences as a curricular and methodological approach has any discernible impact on learning, particularly in specialized program like nursing. If we're going to apply this in nursing, then there will be a disaster. Yeah, because supposed to be we are a discipline oriented class, we are discipline oriented university or college. Therefore, we are expecting our students to be at their best to do how and what we take them to do based on the curriculum that we decide or we design. See, it may be good to low years, particularly multiple intelligence may be good to nursery or kinder, but not for high school. It will suggest a departure from core curricula and standards because in multiple intelligence, you are going to allow them to learn on their own basing based on the type of intelligence that they may actually have. On the first place, there is no certainty that you were able to identify properly the type of multiple intelligence that student may actually have. Now, a study shows that there are minimum of two intelligences where students are good at in one instance. So it will be very difficult to find the dominant multiple intelligence that they may actually have. So it's very difficult to address because students may not leverage on the type of intelligence that they may actually have. So therefore, teaching standard may always be an issue here. All right. Any questions so far? No questions? Let's proceed.
No question, Doctor.
Very good. Yes.
Alia with you.
Alia, yeah.
Doctor, can we stop here?
Why?
Because we have exam. Can you spare for us 15 minutes, please?
Okay. No one told me, no?
Yeah, it is already 9:30 will start. So because we want to verify the identity.
Okay. Okay then. Say. All right. All right. I will stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But please read, no? Read more, okay?
Okay, no problem.
And for your attendance, please write present, okay? Write present in the message board. Then you may leave.
Doctor,
Yes.
regarding the assignment, if I don't have a favorite teacher or the teacher that affected me, what I can do?
Yeah, you know, you are a human being, and there must be someone who influences you. Maybe your mother, maybe your father, or
But
anyone who taught you so
you
much.
mentioned teacher, so that's why I was thinking from my
A teacher maybe, yeah. A teacher may be somebody who taught you something, who taught you a lesson, right?
yeah. So it's okay to talk about